My name is Amy Shneider, and I go to Kalara High School on the North Shore. I was born in South Africa, and when I was 6, I moved to Auckland, New Zealand. I lived there for 6 years until I was 12, when my parents, wanting to provide me and my brother with a wider scope of Jewish opportunities, moved us to Australia. We have always practiced modern orthodoxy and celebrated Shabbat and the festivals. While I was growing up, I distinctly remember absolutely loathing Hebrew school, and getting us there always involved lots of bribing and prodding. In Australia, bat mitzvah lessons provided me and my brother with some insight into the concept of Jewish spirituality, and Academy BJE during primary and high school added to my Jewish education and understanding of Israel. I had always heard about Israel and its significance, but I was kind of neutral towards the whole scenario. The Academy BJE trip to Israel for public school students is an educational experience to first-handly discover Judaism through the exploration of Israel. But the Discover Israel program was so much more. Not only was it an education and an adventure, but it was a journey through a history of passion, love, defeat, and unexplainable feeling of belonging that exists in the soil of Israel. It was this country which for 6 weeks, we, the 11 selected students, walked around long. For 6 weeks, we felt the emotions that were dropped here by the soldiers, the immigrants, the refugees, and the pioneers. I had no intention on going on the BJE Discover Israel program, of leaving my family for 6 weeks, and my parents had no intention of sending me, but somehow I landed up going. When BJE got in contact with my dad about scholarships available, they made it possible for me to go, and after a last-minute decision and a month of painful excitement, we arrived in Israel. We stayed at the Alexander Muss High School in Hod HaSharon near Tel Aviv. This was our base. We traveled around Israel in chronological order in our party bus driven by Shelty, with David Sprung, our tour guide and teacher, and a guard, sometimes if we were lucky, Kafir. We traveled from Tel Gezer to Eilat, from Yaffo to Rosh Hanikra, from the Arava to the Kinneret. We, for the first time, experienced a country with borders and fences, mines and an army, but what we felt was freedom. Israel unexpectedly impacted every inch of my soul and disintegrated my disbelief. The people I went with, Cracky, Tinklefish, Leroy, Thunderhawk, Crazy Legs, Ali, Kung Fu Panda, Tectonic, Vigi, Unstable, Sop, and Sid, as well as the Israelis and the Americans we met there, were a large part of that. Each individual provided different aspects of the entire experience, and together we had the most fun, did the most things on the top of Masada, went the most crazy, were the most annoying, did the most dancing, ate the most stuff, and was sometimes the most grumpy. But the people I went to Israel with were definitely the most amazing. The time between knowing I was going to Israel and getting there seemed to go on forever, and although I was excited, I was also nervous. Packing was one of the most exciting and stressful things. What did I take for 6 whole weeks on my own? But before I knew it, it was Sunday the 16th of November 2008, and we were due to leave. The plane ride was so intense with anticipation that everything seemed excitable. But the plane ride in itself was an adventure, as we socialized with one another and met the strangers who later would become such good friends. When I left for Israel, I wanted to come home inspired. I wanted to see what all the fuss was about. I remember in Year 9, BJE had implemented a program in SRE, Special Religious Education, called the Discover Israel Project, and for a whole year we learnt about Israel, its history, culture, economy, and society. Overall, however, I didn't know what to expect. I didn't expect to make such good friends, and I didn't expect to develop such strong emotions towards a country that, on the surface, I thought I had no connection to. I was worried about being away from home, about not getting enough food, and about making new friends. However, I'm so glad I got over my worries because what I found was a state of mind that cleared my skin, my brain, and my soul. I distinctly remember the first time we saw Jerusalem, and it felt so surreal, like a dream. I remember being blindfolded and led out of the bus to the lookout over the gold dome and a sand-colored city. I remember the Shabbat we spent at the Western Wall, people inviting us for dinner, the singing, dancing, the atmosphere of hope. I remember walking down the alleys to get there, lighting the candles in an alcove thousands of years old. I remember the unexpected emotion when I touched the wall. One of the highlights was going down to the Arava, where we formed relationships that helped us better understand Israel and its philosophy. We had the chance to talk to kids our own age and learn the way they lived isolated in the middle of the desert. We formed friendships really quickly with our hosts. They put on parties for us, played games, visited and banded at new moshavs, and watched the sunset over the sand. We learned a little bit of Hebrew and explored the dry, unhospitable environment that grew capsicums and basil. The trip to the Arava, which took place about a week into the program, allowed us to relate to the country through a medium we could understand, kids our own age. While there, we visited the Bedouins and ate delicious food, rode camels, and had the most amazing tea in existence. I remember climbing up Masada, waking up at 4 a.m., our tour guide explaining to us the story. We watched from the mountain as the sun rose over the desert and the Dead Sea, uniting the land the people of Masada once stood on and the heavens where they now lie. Some of the best times we had were when we were just sitting on the Sheltie bus, watching the country sweep past us as we drove at an alarming speed. We slept and talked or just went crazy. Sugar powered us, neutrality left us, and Israel inspired us. When I was little, my hair was very reddy with blonde tips. When I went to Israel, it returned to that color. It was as if this is where I had spiritually grown up, being a child, a loose soul, before I, as I am, inhabited it. I never expected to share such emotions that I felt with Israel with a group of 11 people. Together we felt the inspiration, the sleep deprivation, the knowledge, the history, the hyperactivity, the intenseness, the happiness, the surrealism, and the connection that surrounded Israel, its holy sites, and its history. The Israel experience did not end with the arrival at Sydney Airport, where we all separated and went our different ways, to our own rooms in our own houses with our own cars. BJE made sure that we were always included in Jewish circles. We volunteered for JNF, Limud Oz, and the United Israel Appeal, as well as many other chesed projects within the community. We made traditional food for the Jewish festivals at the Big Kitchen. We went on a Beitar camp and on the weekend escape. One of the most special things we did was a naming ceremony for Sophia and Cassie, who didn't have Hebrew names, and as a group, we decided to give them one. That weekend, we all slept at BJE headquarters and spent Shabbat together. Since coming back from Israel, I personally have become more involved in my Judaism. Every Friday night I go to shul, which I have never previously done, not because it's an obligation, but because I truly want to go. I think I have developed an understanding of Israel's significance. We learned so many lessons, not just about history or Judaism or Israel, but about each other and how to relate from our microcosm with the universe. We learned the values of relationships, the values of discovery, and exploration, and we learned how to incorporate these into every aspect of our life. The BJE experience has affected every single one of us, different people in different ways. Whether it's through the celebration of Israel or through keeping kosher, this experience has enriched our Judaism and helped in the exploration of our identity. I don't know exactly how to put into words the experience and the effect Israel had on me. It wasn't just an adventure or an education, and it wasn't a spiritual quest. Instead, it was a way of discovering the world's existence and being a part of it, whatever it is. It turned out my experience wasn't like something you were taught but never physically feel, like mitosis. Apparently, teenage hormones do crazy things. I think I fell in love with Israel, with the people I went with, and with the things it taught me, not only about the country, but about myself. It wasn't something that you go and forget about. I know I'm young, but I truly believe I will never forget the experience I had, the feelings I felt, the lessons I learned, and the etching in my soul that was created by the energy, the passion that exists in the soil of the land that has borne witness to the power struggles of the past and remained stable, steady, and so magnetic.